Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. So I'm here with the new topic that is going to be covered within this week and of course in the coming week as well. So this is the part one of this series that I have started, and you see that uh, the sequence of slides is going to be that first I will tell you what is the difference between reading and studying, these two terms. Then we are going to get to the meaning of the term study skills. The next slides are going to tell you about the types of study skills. We will have a brief look at the reading process that goes on in brain. Then we get to our actual topic, that is going to be reading strategies, skimming and scanning, these two terms. And finally, the conclusion of this part, right? So let's get to the two terms that we come across in our daily life. Sometimes we use them interchangeably. When we want to say study, we may say read, or vice versa. But actually, there is a difference between these two terms. So I can show you the difference over here when you are going to see that there are this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas in which there is going to be difference between these two terms. You can see that in terms of definition, you will find out the difference. In terms of requirements, you will find out that how studying is different from reading. The tasks that are involved, then you will see that how one is different from the other. Memory, in terms of remembering, what one does in studying, study, and what one does in reading. And finally, easy or difficult, whatever that complexity level, we see how they are different from each other. Now look at this these two columns, where to the this orange color column, it has everything related to studying, and then this lighter color, the beige color, we see that here something is written about the term reading. Okay, in terms of definition, studying and reading, they are different. First, I will get to reading, and there you are going to see that it's a process of perusing. Perusing means going through a topic to gather information. Remember this term, this one, to gather information. So reading, in daily life, we go through different reading materials. We keep on reading newspapers, we keep on reading advertisements, we keep on reading those banners, leaflets. You see that when medicine comes, there we read its name and then precautions, whatever. So in daily life, there is so much of the reading it goes on, see, and basically it gives us the information. Whereas look at studying. Studying is the process where time and devotion are fully dedicated to understanding a concept. So what are the key words over here? That is, time and devotion are fully dedicated. So one has to be committed, one has to be very careful and involved, and this is what makes reading and studying different from each other. One is only for the sake of information, and the other one requires more dedication, more commitment, more involvement. If we look at the other area number 2, in terms of requirement, what reading requires from us, it requires less energy, less devotion, and less time required. We just we do a lot of speed reading also, like quickly reading through something and then trying to get to the main idea, and so we keep on doing when we read something, okay. But as far as studying is concerned, we see that it requires a lot of energy, a lot of devotion, a lot of time required. That's why when you sit to study your textbooks, you see, we always use the term study for our textbooks. We don't say that we are reading our textbooks. The specified reading is called studying. in the academic setting, in the academic context. uh, okay, so tasks which reading asks us to do is, it's simply to just go through the text, to just have a look at the text and take information. Whereas uh, studying asks us to research, learn, then go back to it, then check your information, then again get to another additional information. Then this is how the process of searching and researching, and this is how it is involved in studying. So, studying can never be casual. It is always careful, it is always committed, it is always devoted and dedicated. These are the terms used for um, this term studying. Okay, in terms of memory, memory means that to keep it in your mind for how much time, remembering it means. So we see that in terms of reading, remembering is not that essential. Like, we go through so much of the material during the whole day, so how can we remember each and everything of that? Whereas you look at studying in which remembering is essential. You see, it's because you have to sit an exam, you have to reproduce that, you have to write the concept, you should know the details, you should know the areas in which that course that tells you to study. You see, so it means that studying is a very much time taking process. You see, so uh, and the last point is complexity. What is it easy or difficult? Which is easy, which is more difficult, which is more complex? So if you look at reading, it has less complex topics. We read novels, we read newspapers, we read so much, as I earlier told you. So your brain does not have to make so much of an effort in reading. It's just like you recognize the text, you understand the message, and that's it. You are not into the tiny details what the text is about. On the other hand, studying involves complex topics. You look at your course, there are so many things that you have to do, and you have to remember them, because then you are given marks for that, you are given grades, you are given assessment, or the feedback on the basis of what you produce as a result of studying. Okay, now this takes us to the meaning of the term study skills. See, now there are some when we are students, or when we have to study something, it requires skills, it requires certain general approaches to learning. Now, these approaches are for specific courses of study that are, for example, if you are in BS Zoology or BS Biology, whatever your discipline is, it has many courses of study. So we don't call them as courses of reading. We say courses of study, means that you have to make an effort, you have to devote time, you have to devote your energies towards it. And then there are so many skills which are this is an umbrella term, this is a collective term which has so many approaches, so many methods that you will find out. Well, so I have written these different definitions of that, but I will take you to last two ones. This is the second last, that it is an array of skills. Array means the list of or collection of skills, which tackles the process of organizing and taking in new information. Retaining information means keeping it in your mind or memory, or dealing with assessments. Assessment means that when you deal, now the way you deal in the time of papers. Assessments means that any kind of such quizzes or papers or tests. So how those study skills, they come to rescue you. And finally, in the red, I have written this is the crux of the all previous definitions that are there, that more broadly, study skills can be any skill which boosts, which increases, which enhances a person's ability to study, retain, and recall information, which assists in and passing exams. See, so let us make it very particular, very specific in your academic setting, and that is that these are those skills which equip you to study, to keep that information in your mind, and then reproduce it or write it when the assessment process comes. So this is how the study skills enable you to do that. There are so many types of study skills, which I'm not going to go into the detail because we just have to touch upon these. So all these, if you can see, this is a kind of mind mapping for study skills, where we see that there are some related to memory, there's some related to organization, some related to setting goals and monitoring progress. We are not discussing these. We are looking at reading. See, so the main topic is reading, and within reading, because most of the times what you do in your class is that you have some reading material in front of you. Now how to study that? See, how to carefully study that? So within reading they have touched upon the two techniques or two strategies of reading, which is skimming and scanning. So for comprehension of any text, any reading material, these two strategies, they are required. And now what are these? We will get to those now. But before that, let's try to understand what actually is the reading process which goes on in brain. Now it is such an automatic kind of a process which keeps on going, keeps going on in the mind, in the brain, and you see how it goes on. For example, here, if this is the reader is looking at the text, and there he reads the word cat, but the mind goes through different stages. First stage is that how the words, they seem to be somehow not intelligible, like they are broken. In the next step, these words take some, these letters, they take some shape, means that from this broken C it becomes a complete C, then this broken A becomes a complete A, this broken T becomes a complete T. Now here the word recognition the brain does. The next step, the third step, is that the sound now comes to the mind of the reader. And how it goes, that from these three letters CAT, now the relevant sound comes, and that is C stands for K, A stands for A, and T stands for T. Now these within slanting lines, you can see these are basically the sounds, and in the brain the sound now pops up. And in the fourth stage, we see that the moment the sound comes, cat, and quickly the image of the cat comes onto the film of the mind. Now this process is so spontaneous, so automatic, that several times it comes and we are not even aware of it. That's why some people who have problems in recognition of letters or sounds, they cannot identify the things. People who have dyslexia, people who have aphasia, people who have even autism. Now these are some diseases, some problems which make reading a difficult process. So we should be thankful if we are able to recognize the letters, words, then we get to the images and the meanings of those. So we see that the primary purpose of reading is to, now look at this red color, the term in red color, it is to understand the text. Every reading is basically for this one purpose, which in other terms we call comprehension. So for comprehension, our mind, it has these processes which I have already told you. So if there is no comprehension, means you don't know what the message is given through that text, then it means you have not done a proper reading. Okay, so this is where I started with the reading process which goes on in brain. Okay, now what is that? If you look at this image, and I asked you a question that how many newspapers are there? So quickly you are going to, your eyes, they are going to start spanning over the whole image, and you would now count. So these will be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. What I can see that these are 10 or 9 newspapers, right? But if I ask another question, and that is that what is the topmost news written in the newspaper Dawn? Now what will your eye do? Will your eyes be focused to the entire image, or they would be focused at one particular point? Yes, one particular point. And then you will tell me that, ma'am, in Dawn newspaper, the topmost news is that tough words stir talk of final battle. Now, this movement of the eye for the sake of reading, these are now those two terms that we are now going to get to. So let me introduce those two terms to you. These are skimming and scanning, which are actually the reading strategies. So strategy basically means any plan of action, or these are also called reading techniques. So skimming and scanning, they come together. They are like twins. They come together because most of the times we keep on doing keep on doing both these at the same time, and I will tell you how we do that. But before that, let me give you this. If you read this box, and you will see that skimming and scanning are two specific speed reading techniques. Speed reading, quick reading. These are the techniques which enable the reader to quickly read through the text, peruse, and this is how an effective reader does this. A smart reader uses these techniques. And what these techniques do, they enable the reader to cover a vast amount of material, a huge amount of material, very rapidly. Now, the key terms are speed reading techniques, rapidly, and these techniques are similar in process but different in purpose. Now we are going to discuss that now we understand that these are the speed reading techniques, but of course skimming has a different purpose and scanning has a different purpose. So now I come to the term skimming. What is skimming? Now this is the definition, that skimming means quickly reading the text to get only its main idea. Now usually it is called pre-reading technique. Pre-reading means that you have not yet gone through the text in totality. You are just looking at it quickly to get the overall idea that what is this text about. If a paragraph is in front of you and you are asked to quickly look at that and tell what that paragraph is about, maybe you just have quick your eyes it will your eyes are going to move very quickly through the lines, initially from the initial lines and then middle lines and then the towards the end, and maybe that paragraph is about the uses of mobile phone. So you will get this overall idea by quickly going through the certain areas of that paragraph. Uh, Let me take you back to that newspaper activity that I asked question to you. When I asked you to tell me how many newspapers are there, then your eyes, they moved over the whole image. Now this is taking the overall idea, how many newspapers. But when in the second question I asked you to focus on one newspaper and give me the information, now that was scanning. See, scanning means fixing your eyes for at one point to get the information. But here we are getting to the skimming. Okay, well, look at the red color, red part of my this point, that to skim effectively, one needs to read only a part of the material. You don't have to go through the entire material line by line. No. So that's why I called it a speed reading technique, because you have to take an overall idea quickly going through the text. Uh, so, in your academic setting and even in your daily life, this reading technique is very helpful because you see what happens that we have sometime we go to the library or we go into the bookshop or we go online to read articles or something. So, we can't read every article, every book in the library or in the shop from A to Z. It does not happen. So, what you do is that you just have a look at different things, and then you get to the overall idea whether you have to choose this book or not for your if you are in the shop, and if you are in the library, whether you should issue that book on the topic or not. So what are those things that you should look for? I will tell you in the coming slides, but here we see that reading a long chapter of a book or doing a research on a long article, you would probably read the first sentences of each paragraph, first sentences of each paragraph, dropping down to the end of the paragraph, you see. So there are certain places you have to quickly look for. You look at those specific places, and then you don't have to go through line by line. So this is how you get the gist or the overall idea or the main idea what the text is about. Now, how to skim? This is the process that you will see that as in the previous line it was already mentioned that one has to read the first paragraph attentively, because it is usually the introductory paragraph. You already know it, that paragraph, if it is a longer text, then it is divided into paragraphs, and the first paragraph is always the introductory paragraph. And if you are reading the paragraph only, then you have to read the first line or first two lines just to get the overall idea, the controlling idea. See, so read the first paragraph attentively to get an idea of what will be discussed in the text. Now you're not going line by line, only your eyes are going to just skim through first two lines or so. Then read the first and sometimes the second sentence of each paragraph. So if there are more paragraphs, as if it is a longer text, then you will do the same process with each paragraph. Each paragraph, initial two lines, you have to quickly look at them because they are actually going to give you the controlling idea or the introduction of the whole paragraph. Okay, you don't have to read the supporting details or something like that. That is for the later process. Initially, for speed reading, to get an overall idea, you have to go through the initial one or two lines. Okay, then number 3, after you have read the first sentences, now your eyes should drop down to the end of the paragraph. You know, end of every paragraph has a conclusion in it. So this will complete your thought, complete your skimming. It will introduce you to the main idea. No need of supporting details. Let's get to the conclusion. And overall, you will be in a position to get the gist or the main idea of the entire paragraph or the entire essay or entire article or entire book, whatever that is. And then, of course, read the last paragraph attentively because it usually contains summary or conclusion. Conclusion is basically summing up of the entire material. Some of the things that you should look for when you are skimming, it is that one has to go look for the keywords that are there. Sometimes we see that there are headings. They also give you an overall idea about that text. You quickly look at you skim the headings, then titles, then first and last paragraphs. So these are some of those techniques, sub techniques of how to skim. So skimming is again I repeat, it is a reading technique in which one quickly goes through the text for getting an overall idea. This is just an example where if such a text is in front of you, how would you skim it? So look at these pink lines, these lines. This is the introductory paragraph. So here you are going to quickly look at look at these one, you will see that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, and in which the first paragraph, as I told you, it has to be read, and you have to attentively read the first and the last paragraphs, first and the last paragraphs. So you have to read, and the rest of the paragraph you have to read only the first or second line, whatever the main ideas are given or the controlling ideas are given. So this is how you have to do. Look at this bracket and read only the first sentence, and then drop down to the end looking for key details. So how your eye is going to move, that it is they are going to move from first paragraph, then the last paragraph, and then in between just the initial lines of the supporting paragraphs. This is how. And in between, casually, you are going to look at these headings. They are also going to give you an overall idea that it is all about capitalism, and how in within capitalism there is class division they mention, and the profit motive, whatever your subject is. Just an example that I have given you. Now it takes me to the term scanning. Many times we open dictionary for looking at the meaning of the word, looking into the meaning of the word, or pronunciation of the word, or definition of the word. So we do not, you see, we keep on change. You can say we keep on turning the pages. We don't read every page. We quickly reach, for example, if we have to find out the meaning of the word accessory, so we will not look at anything before and after that. We will quickly look, try to find out a double c, where a double c comes, then accessory ESSORY, and the moment we find it, our eyes are going to focus, because rest of the things we just quickly skim, because the pages we are going to look at a double c pages, and then quickly whenever we find it a double c, we focus, and then the moment it comes a double c o double s a double c ESSORY, now your eyes will focus over there. So most of the times when we are looking into the meaning of some word in the dictionary, we use it is actually the process of scanning that we are doing. That's why it is written over here that scanning is a quick reading to find. Now the keywords are specific piece of information. Now here we do not read for the sake of general idea or main idea or gist. No, we want to take a specific or a special information, and this is called scanning. So even if in the medical field there is the term called scan, people go for scan for something which is in their body, they go for that. So that scanning machine, it actually focuses on that problem area, that body part where there the problem is. So scanning means fixing one's eyes on the specific piece of information. Now how to scan? How to scan? Now this is the process that one has to underline the important information while reading the text, in which there can be dates or numbers or names. If there is a text on Qaid-e-Azam, so if it is about his last speech in the Constituent Assembly, probably it was on 11th August 1948. So if somebody gives you that text and asks you to skim it for the general idea, you are not going to stop at small little details like dates, numbers, names. You will just quickly have the overall idea, and you say that this is the text about Qaid-e-Azam and his speech in Constituent Assembly. But if I ask you to look for the date, when was that speech made, now your eyes are going to scan for that particular information, and they will stop at the paragraph or the place where 11th August 1948 is written. Now you will underline it. You see? So this is how specific piece of information is going to be given or it is going to be taken out of from there. Again, it's the kind of a speed reading. Well, uh, usually scanning, as I told you, that skimming is a pre-reading activity, means you don't actually read it, but you just quickly go through it. Scanning is after reading activity. After reading means that when you read the text and then questions are there, and then you read those questions and look for the answer at a specific place, that is scanning. That's why it is written, when you read the question, identify the keyword and scan the text for it. This way you will find the answer more quickly. So if a comprehension passage is given to you, you just overall give it a skimming, that what it is all about, and then you get to the questions, and then after reading the question, when you look for the information, this is what you are doing, is called scanning. Because now your mind is fixed that okay, I have to find the answer of this question. In skimming, you are doing the things before actually reading it. Okay, this is the difference between the two, that skimming is the before reading technique, and it is required before reading, and scanning is required after reading. Okay. Well, it's just an example. Just I gave you the example of the previous skimming. Now this is the example of scanning. It could be like, if it is written that find and circle the following words in this passage. Now you have to find these words which are given in passage. So you are not going to stop at every word. You will quickly just see, and here you found clever, and clever is there, done, and then done, and then home, yes, you found it. Then unite, yes, you found it. Then distress, yes. Marriage early, and marriage early, most affectionate, marriage early. Hmm? So you did not understand the text over here. You only looked for the particular places for these words. So this is scanning you have done. See? Oh, another example. I'm not going into the detail, but quickly I can tell you that this is, for example, a news in the newspaper. Now, daily life, mostly we read newspapers or stories or something like that. So we are doing actually skimming and scanning side by side. How we do it side by side? If they have already given you the idea that you can skim to find out what it is all about. Now your eyes quickly, they are going to move from this place to this place, and there you are going to see, oh, so what it is all about. How you are going to get the idea? Headings and pictures. You look at this, and it is about cat. This is cat, so it's about cat. And where is going to come skimming? Skimming is scanning is, or you can scan to look for important information. Now if you want to focus on just the specific area, then that is the scanning that you are doing. So in our daily life, this skimming and scanning, it goes side by side. And why you need it? You need it because there is going to be the comprehension passages in which you have to first skim it for the general information, and then you have to read the questions and then scan for the answers given in those questions. So here you will use these two skills simultaneously, side by side. These skills would be used. Okay, this is how you skim and scan a book. When you look, uh, uh, again, this is an example I had given earlier also, that the table of contents and title page, you see, you have to pick up a book for your research purpose or for reading purpose. So these are the cues, or these are the guide that can tell you whether you have to pick up that book for your use or not. So you quickly look at the table of contents, title page, copyright, this, you skim through these. And you scan the name of the writer also. You particularly focus on the writer's name. You skim, okay. So you scan the writer's name, and you skim through all these, a table of contents, title page. So when you quickly go through these, then you get to know whether you require it or you don't. So this is just an additional information. Let's get to the conclusion. I know that it's getting long, but this is such an I would say that it's a technique. These are the reading techniques that we keep on doing in our daily life, even if we know the terms or we don't know the terms. But the sharp or the smart reader practices it in order to do the speed reading, because every day we cannot in our even textbooks or in our research, because you are BS students in research, this activity or these techniques, they are going to be of so much help to you. See, so here I have given you an overall idea about skimming and scanning. So here you will see what skimming requires and what scanning requires. So you can read it yourself, but I just mention quickly over here that one is fast reading, skimming, and scanning is reading technique. It is used when you want to locate a single fact or specific bit of information without reading every word. Then the second point is that you get the main idea, not the details. Then you must leave out parts. Then you may leave out half to 3 by 4 paragraph once you have the main idea. Means again, skip it. Okay. And there is a disadvantage of it also. It's written over here that when you do such a speed reading, then comprehension is compromised. It is lower. You try to comprehend as much as you can. You know, when you are speed reading, then of course comprehension level is a bit, it is lower. Then, well, it is again fast and okay. Now, skimming is usually done with the material you don't know anything about. That's why you skim it, because you don't know what it's all about. That's why I call it a pre-reading strategy. So when you don't know what the text is about, you try to get the overall idea about it. Now, on the other hand, in scanning, what happens that we use this TV listing, like there is some spelling issue over here, so kindly ignore it, but it should not be listing, it is listing. This I is wrong. So for example, we need scanning to go through the TV listing in paper to find time of show, if there is any match details, if there are scores written over there, there is a schedule of flights. So our eyes focus on that point. We also use it when using phone directory or and what else is there? Yes, it is often done with material that you know something about. Now it is different from here. So this is done with the material you are usually familiar with. It's not an unknown material to you. And this is how the difference between skimming and scanning. I'm not going into the detail of that. It is already mentioned. Okay. Well, now we come to the end of it, and it is just the part one of your this course, but it is going to have part two and part three probably, which you have to keep on waiting. I will see you inshallah next time, and coming up next will be study skills part 2. Till then, thank you. Allah Hafiz. Stay blessed.